Well, good afternoon and welcome to Connecting the Dots with Dan Happel. Thumper, you're going to love this program. I have to tell you, this is some right up your alley. I know you've had discussions on your programs about a lot of the chemtrail, geoengineering, stuff like that. And we've got a guest today who is going to blow your doors off. Elana Freeland is somebody who has written some absolutely amazing books and done a tremendous amount of study on this. And we're going to couple her today with another guest who's been involved in so many of the things we're going to be talking about today, and that's Juliette Engle. And Juliette's been involved in the past in the MK Ultra program. I really look forward to bringing you two ladies together. You have two of the sharpest minds, I think, that there are in any of the podcast, talk radio stuff going on. So I'm really looking forward to this. You guys are going to make a terrific tag team. Anyway, with that said, Thumper, you might want to... I sent you a list of books by both of them. Don't worry about putting those up right away, but we definitely want to show them later in the program so that both ladies can get a chance to do a little advertising for the brilliant work that they've done.
I'll have them ready.
All righty. Well, with that said, first of all, Elana, I went through your book and I tried to speed read it, and you warned me about that, and rightfully so. But you talk about an incredible number of the projects and subjects that we've talked about in the past on this program. But I have to be honest with you, you're the first person that's tied a lot of this stuff together in such a all-encompassing way. And, you know, we've had literally hundreds of guests on this program, and they all have something to say about one of these subjects, but you've got something to say about all of them. Welcome to the program.
Oh, thanks for having me, Dan. Yeah, I do. I tie them together because I've been studying them for years. And the geoengineering part was a big surprise to me 12 or 15 years ago when I got involved in it. I kept thinking that I had pretty much nailed it. And each time there would be another opening to see just how incredibly connected all these different programs and like activists who are involved in pointing out the dangers of electromagnetism, all the way to targeting individuals in their homes, MK Ultra. I mean, there are so many connectors, and yet I don't know if you've gotten to that part in the book, but several times I make clear that I'm very grateful to Catherine Austin Fitz, the investment analyst, for having alerted me to the secret space program, and that is really, to me, the umbrella under which all the rest comes. And I attempt to prove that, and I'm sure this book weighs 3 pounds. It's 690 pages. Yeah. Very embarrassing to me, but when you take on, the title itself tells it, Geoengineered Transhumanism, how the environment has been weaponized by chemicals, electromagnetism, and nanotechnology for synthetic biology. And I'm very serious about that last part, for synthetic biology. There are many programs under geoengineering, and geoengineering itself is a handmaiden of the secret space program. But primarily, when you really get down to the bottom of the funnel that all this is funneling into, you do come to synthetic biology. And lo and behold, here we are, absolutely under the duress of the latest push for the synthetic biology that will lead to transhuman hybrids among humanity. So I took longer. I took 2.5 years to write this book. I thought I would be done in 1.5 years, but then, wow, then this whole thing hit. And I was glued to my computer every day hearing breaking news about synthetic biology. So I just feel so blessed that I was able to live in this time and to really bring to fruition my final book on geoengineering, and you're a witness to it. I am not writing another book on geoengineering. This is my third and last, and it's a great trilogy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're absolutely right. And one of the things that I was kind of fascinated with is, you know, you referred to Tesla technology, you referred to all these different things, but you got my newsletter. You know, Nikola Tesla is the one person who had the brilliance to understand how electromagnetism and how our whole world is an electrical synthesis with the human body, and if we leave it alone, everything works the way it should in nature. It's the way it's supposed to be. But these people have been tinkering with every aspect of this. And of course, we know that Nikola Tesla, after he died, a pauper in New York, the CIA, or at the time it was the SAS or ASS, whatever. Anyway, they came in and took all of his experimentation, all of his records, everything that he had, literally a whole room full of stuff, and it just disappeared. And they've been working on so many of his inventions, his research for the last 70 years. And as a result of that, I also know that the average person in this country is about 50 years behind the curve when we understand what technologies they have. And they are weaponizing everything that Tesla went out of the way to make sure they didn't weaponize. I mean, he was a true humanitarian, and at the same time, they had to wait till he died so they could get all of his stuff, and now they're using it against the people all over the world.
And I'm not sure they waited until he died either, but we don't have to get into that. Also, remember that, remember Donald Trump's uncle?
Uncle John,
was the man that all of Tesla's research was given over to safeguard and go through and dole out to the different departments in the I guess it was geoengineering then, but it had another name under the secret space program.
Right.
And I just wanted to throw in that I was honored by a Serbian publisher who bought the translation rights to my second book, Under an Ionized Sky, From Chemtrails to Space Fence Lockdown. And then they wrote it in Cerulean and sent me a copy, and it's used in the technical universities in Serbia because it's the only book that tries to cognize how Tesla's technology was weaponized by the West. Mm-hmm. So I'm very honored that it's Tesla's country, it's his language, and I just wonder if he had anything to do with that.
Well, I'll tell you what. It's fascinating because you're the first person. I've had a lot of friends who recognize the importance of Tesla, but not really the depth of it, because that man was so far ahead. As I put in my newsletter, he made Einstein look like a kindergartner. I mean, he didn't have a brilliant mind. He had a mind that was so far advanced of anyone in the world, and it's been that way even now. I mean, right now, in this day and age, there's nobody that could even pack his lunch, and we need to recognize that. So I'm glad that you received that honor. You deserve it, because I'll tell you what, you write a brilliant, brilliant book.
Yeah, thank you.
Really. And so does our other guest, Juliette Engle. And Juliette's been a guest of a speaker at our Red Pill Expo in Lafayette, Louisiana. I met Juliette in Rapid City, South Dakota, and all the really interesting things. There's happenstance, I guess you'd have to call it, but it really isn't, because God plans everything that happens. But Juliette sat down, her and her cousin were sitting next to us at dinner one night, and my wife Ingrid started a conversation with Juliette, and Juliette started talking a little bit about, I've written a book, and my wife didn't know anything about MK Ultra, even though she's been around me for 30 some years. She hears what I talk about, but she tends to try to ignore as much of it as she can so that she doesn't have to worry herself sick. And anyway, Juliette sent a book home with Ingrid and said, please read my book. I'd like to know what you think. Well, first thing Ingrid did was hand it to me and say, you're the one that needs to read this. And of course, it went right along with a lot of the stuff that I already knew. But she was involved in a very interesting part of it, because her parents basically, and I'm sorry to say this, but it's true, and I think Julia will talk about it, but her parents began to prostitute her at 6 years old as part of the sex magic program of the CIA, to break down your self-esteem and your sense of a single personality, and basically to create multiple personalities so that they could control people. And so this is going to be a great discussion, because you guys talk about a lot of the same things. Juliette, please, welcome to the program, and thank you for being here. And I really can't wait to hear what you and Elana talk about. Go ahead, Juliette. You need to unmute.
You need to unmute, Juliette.
There, okay.
Great.
Oh, I'm thrilled to be here. I'm a big fan of Elana. I met her at a Red Pill Expo in 2018 in Spokane, and I have her book Under an Ionized Sky, and I'd already read the book about HAARP and chemtrails while I was in Russia, and I was living in Russia. I lived there until 2010, and I never saw a chemtrail. They don't do chemtrails. So I read the book, and I read all about it, and then I was shocked when I came back to the United States. I'd been to Seattle multiple times because that's where my family is, but you never see the skies. So, I mean, anything could have been up there. But when I came back full time in 2010, I mean, the sky was just bizarre looking, especially to me, since I was from an area where they didn't have the chemtrails. So I think Elana does a great service to all of us by pulling all these elements together in a comprehensive way. And I think she's absolutely right. And I think my personal belief, having grown up in the sex magic CIA MK Ultra program, the more I remember about it and the more relaxed I get about talking about it. It was terribly difficult to talk about it, but now it's coming back to me. And the thing they were after, what they wanted from me, what they wanted from all of us, they wanted our souls. Mm-hmm. And you look at CERN and the Large Hadron Collider, what are they doing? They're looking for the God particle. They're trying to manufacture a soul. I mean, transhumanism, none of this is going to go anywhere without a manufactured soul. So you can manufacture all these components, but you can't create a human soul. Only God can do that. But these people are working in defiance of God. If they're humans, they're working in defiance of God, and they're taking their playbook right out of the last part of Mein Kampf, where Hitler is talking about creating an army of mind-controlled semi-humans, transhumans, that are essentially half man, half God, who then defeat God. So I believe this this whole distorted, crazy mess is related to that. They are after our souls. Our souls are the strongest thing we have. And I think that the vaccine program, where they're inserting graphene oxide or dioxide and mRNA into human beings, is to convert them into transhuman beings. And you alter the DNA and you become a transmitter with the assembly of the graphene dioxide. You're no longer human. So I think then you open the debate. If you're a transhuman, do you even have human rights? No, you don't have human rights. You're not human anymore. So, what's going to happen to all these people who've had the mRNA and have had their DNA altered? Their children's DNA will be altered. They're becoming a different race within our own world. So, and that does tie into the geoengineering, that ties into the ionization of the sky, the boiling of the atmosphere. All these things connect. But why? I mean, as a human being with a soul, because I got out of the program and I kept my soul. Many people didn't. And I think you're seeing world leaders who came from the programs. I know several for sure came right out of the MK Ultra programs, but they gave up their soul. You give up your soul, you get all the bling in the world. You get the glory, you get the newspapers, you get the book deals, you get the big houses, but you've lost your soul. And I think there's nothing as valuable as the human soul. So I think we got to quickly figure out how you fight this war with the human soul. That's our weapon. That's our source of creativity, our connection to God, our connection to forces we don't understand, magnetism, plasma, dark matter, all these things are connected through our souls. That's my opinion.
Well,
sorry, did I talk too long there?
No, not at all, Juliette. And the thing is, we learn something all the time. And really, Elana said this earlier, life is just a learning process. Every day I realize how little I know because I run across a book like hers that tells me there are people out there that connect the dots even better than I think I do, and way better in some ways. Something that you said not long ago to me, Juliette, was MK Ultra, the name MK Ultra, that stood for Mein Kampf Ultra. And I had someone on a talk show challenge me. He said, no, that's mind control. I said, when did they start spelling control with a K? Obviously it's not. And you brought that subject up because it was part of the Operation Paperclip that they brought all these German engineers over that were also part of the space program, the medical field, and were doing all these experimentations in things like LSD, which is a product of Switzerland that the Germans worked with. So there's so many things. All these, you start connecting these dots, it just blows you away.
Yeah, the State Department and the OSS, which became the CIA, broke the Nuremberg Code as early as 1947, which is, when it was put into action by bringing the Nazi scientists in the United States and giving them free rein to experiment on Americans. And that included thousands of American children. So sort of the elites, the power elites, heads of military and corporations signed their kids up and stuck them in these programs, and that's how I got there. So it came right out of the philosophy, the religion of the Nazis, and it's interesting. You're almost not allowed to mention the word Nazi in the context of any of this. It's okay to say they're all communists, but that's not entirely true. I mean, this is right out of Mein Kampf, and mind control in German is Bewusstseinkontrolle. It has nothing. It's not MK Ultra. It's not mind control, and it's based on the last third of Mein Kampf.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So,
well, Elana, first of all, I want to bring you into the conversation on the geoengineering part of it. And incidentally, Juliette, we're going to need to get a little bit of information. You will wait a little bit, but I really want to hear your perspective on Russia, Ukraine. Yeah. That's a big deal because they're trying to start World War III right now with events that are going on. And like I said in our preceding show, Chris Moore asked me about what we were doing this week on connecting the dots. And I said, well, anytime you listen to the lamestream media and what comes out of the mouth of China Joe Biden, you pretty much know that it's bullshit. And I have pardoned my French, but that's just what it is. And so I'd love to hear your perspective on this because you spent 20 years over there and you know a lot of the people in these different areas. So we'll get back to that. Elana, first of all, geoengineering, the HART program, all this stuff, the Soviets and the Americans were working on these projects as early as World War II, trying to figure out a way to, through cloud seeding and other things, to control the battlefield environment. That's what it started as. And boy, did it ever blow up, huh?
Yeah, and that would be how I would see the geoengineering having begun. I pretty much concentrate on the program that was set in motion after the Reagan, George H.W. Bush, Dick Cheney regime in the 80s, when part of it was put into what we call going black, in order to go through the Clinton years. That this was the Strategic Defense Initiative, what we called the Star Wars program, and it again was hidden and worked on furiously in order to ionize the atmosphere. This was their main problem, is to get the atmosphere ionized so that they could perform millions and millions of wireless operations simultaneously. This is what was needed for the takeover of the planet, according to Soviet astronomer Nikolai Kardashev's 3 steps for the secret space program. And that was first full spectrum dominance over planet Earth. And then the next one is full spectrum dominance over our star, our sun. And the third is full spectrum dominance over our solar system and then the galaxy. I mean, this sounds like a science fiction program or maybe a psychotic arrangement, but that really is what they were after in the SDI program. They had it down as a radar program that pretty much extended across the South and Midwest states from coast to coast. But it has now expanded to a massive program thanks to HARP, the High Frequency Active Auroral Research Project up in Gakona, Alaska, which bumped it all up into absolute control over the ionosphere. So that was the big step in geoengineering, even though, yeah, you're right. They've been trying to control the weather forever. I remember in that wonderful film with George C. Scott about Patton, who is one of my great heroes. I mean, I've read just about everything about and by Patton, where he is talking about if we could only control the weather, we'd control the battlefield. And in a way, in a very ironic sense, that is exactly what has happened, is the control of the entire atmosphere, the ionized atmosphere, is really control over the entire battlefield of planet Earth for full spectrum dominance. And that's what full spectrum dominance means, is it's the electromagnetic spectrum that must be controlled all the way across the board, from radio waves to gamma waves. So, it's ironic that has happened. And what's been hidden is all the connectors to all the things it takes to have full spectrum dominance over planet Earth, because, we were still in a World War II mode of thinking of, oh yeah, they're doing all these things because of our enemies. And this is all going to be used against our enemies.
Right.
We didn't realize that we were the enemies now, in that we needed to be told lies, to have lots of cover-ups, like the whole climate change, global warming cover-up of what was really happening in the battlefield of the atmosphere. And it was through the atmosphere that scientist Clifford Carnicom, when I got to know him in New Mexico, when I was living down in New Mexico, and we would look under his microscope at his latest findings from having collected the condensation from the jets flying through what used to be like those Russian skies you're talking about, Juliette, of the beautiful blue azure skies of New Mexico, were pretty much gone by the 90s, when Clifford was collecting all that detritus coming down in his HEPA filter and in the condensation, and then analyzing it under his microscope, looking at the biologicals in it. Biologicals? What? Yes, chemicals. Yeah, okay. Electromagnetics. It's being zapped by something. But biologicals, we're seeing erythrocytes, we're seeing pulp from animal flesh. Up here in Washington State, they had that amazing little town where some gooey stuff was falling down and people were touching it and breaking out. So the idea that we would be the enemy, in the sense of being the guinea pigs that they needed for thousands and thousands of experiments as they geared up for this next face of the U.S. military, of the military-industrial intelligence complex. That would be Lockheed Martin, Raytheon, both of whom own all the patents for the space fence that I wrote about in the second book, and the HARP patents, the initial HARP patents. The CIA was involved. I mean, it was, you're looking under one rug, and then there's another rug under there, and you're looking under that rug, and you're looking under, and you're finding that it's a complete cast of characters of the national security state, and that we're not being told, but we're being used. And we think we're just getting sicker and sicker because of our genetics, because of the pollutants in the environment, the normal pollutants, the fluoride in the water, the this, the that, and not realizing that it was all under an intention of full spectrum dominance. I mean, that's the amazing thing, because the normal American or the normal human being on Earth isn't thinking that you can possibly have a conspiracy going on right in front of your face, taking over the sky, for God's sake, taking over the earth, the forests. How can you have this happen and then it doesn't leak? Well, as we know from whistleblowers, leaking is a dangerous proposition. Right. Under a national security state, even if it's not communist, even if it's not Soviet. So, all this is a discovery process. And with every new generation, they have to go through their discovery process as well. It's kind of a setup, isn't it? That generation makes it so that we're all back at square one on one level or another in order to awaken people to what's really going on. I hear people now saying, oh, this is terrible, what's going on now. I've been following this for 6 decades as a young adult in the 60s. And then, coming along all these years, I've never gone to sleep. I've been trying to wake up more and more so that, because I love this country. My grandmother was a Romanian immigrant, and she told me this was the greatest country on earth when I was a little girl. And for me, yes, but then one day she said to me as we were getting off a bus in Detroit, Michigan, she said, oh, terrible, terrible. I said, what, Grandma? Dracul has come to America, she said. Dracul. Well, I knew who Dracul was. That's Dracula. And that's like a vampire. That's like a zombie on steroids. And it was like, oh my gosh, I never forgot that, because up to then it was the greatest country on earth. And then she was very sad that she realized something was going terribly wrong here. And she was clairvoyant. She was a gypsy, Roma. So she had those skills that I certainly don't have. But I've never forgotten that, as I, like you have, Juliette, gone deeper and deeper and deeper into the MK Ultra morass of that. Now I feel, and maybe you've read this in one of my books, I feel that what we're looking at now is we're looking at EMK Ultra. We're looking at the ability to program people at a distance by means of electromagnetics.
Yeah, Juliette, please enter that conversation, because you were personally involved in MK Ultra mind control programs, and you can give a lot of firsthand information on how total and how evil that program was.
Well, I was going to address what Elana was saying about the remote programming, and one of the talents that people like, or children like me and family groups were picked for, was what they called PSI, PSI, which is the ability to remote read. And it doesn't matter how far you are from other people. If you've got two people connected with PSI, you can meet in the middle anywhere. And you can also influence, the whole thing about the sex magic program is it really doesn't have a whole lot to do about sex. It has a lot to do with magic. And the magic is having psi and the power to go inside another person and to control what they're thinking and feeling. And a very good way to manipulate people is sexually. So, yeah, I spent a lot of time, it's not something I volunteered for, but was trained in using that ability. And actually, when I went overseas, I went to Russia in 1990. I didn't know the language, but they are so psychic and they have so much psi that I didn't need the language. So I actually could communicate using this ability of psi and didn't need the language. So I did that for years and years. So I got a different look at Russians than you would as an American trying to communicate with an interpreter or a language. It was sort of a direct line to the Russian soul, and they had a direct line to my soul. And it's interesting what you said about the 3-step program to space dominance. It never mentioned God and or the soul. And the reason is it was Soviet times, and that you couldn't mention God or the soul. But you take that, you roll that into the 1990s when the conversation turned to almost 100% the soul, the importance of the soul. And the reason that Russia came back so fast and rebuilt all the churches and the synagogues and brought back worship and family and eliminated abortion laws and became a very conservative, family-oriented Christian country. And all other major religions are practiced there, but it's predominantly Christian. Was their focus on the soul, and I look at, or they look at us, and they think our soul is very, very sick. So you have churches full of Russians right now praying for the American soul because we're going to stay crazy until we heal our soul. But boy, you try to tell that to an American, and it's, and I do. I often bring that up, because our soul is sick. I mean, the country's gone completely bonkers, but I think it's because we've lost the God particle. It doesn't mean it's lost. It means people have lost their way into their own God particle, which is what the CERN is trying to do, is replace your soul with a particle that they create, and then to turn you into a transhuman half robot with no rights. I think it's nuts. I think the solution is to heal all of our souls. And I think Russia they put a large chunk of their foreign relations budget into their church outreach program. They have an Orthodox church with an international department, and you can see it. It's already appearing in media and things you see about the Russian church, and you hear more Russian music. And so they're like trying to introduce Americans to the idea of the healing of the soul. And so that's how they're communicating. Of course, we don't see that, and there's a big distance. We're trying to communicate with science and technology, and they're like way deep into the soul and reading us psychically. So,
yeah, and that's so true, because I'm half Slavic, right?
Mm-hmm.
On my Romanian side, and Russians are Slavic. And the Slavic soul, I always say what a good balance I came up with, because my father was from a Scottish lineage, the Freeland lineage, and he was a brilliant scientist trapped in the U.S. Navy intelligence. And I wanted you to know, Juliette, that had my mother not pulled me out at 3 years old, we left my father because he was so abusive to her, and a very sick man. I mean, he was owned lock, stock, and barrel by the U.S. Navy, which, as you know, in MK Ultra, is pretty normal. Pretty normal to have the Navy in there.
That was my father, naval intelligence, family going way back, all the way.
Yeah. So
the Saturnalias were run by the Navy.
The Saturnalians, yes. I talk about that in the Ionized Sky book. If my mother hadn't pulled me out at 3, I look at you and I say, there, but for fortune would I have gone? I'm sure of it. And I feel like I was pulled out, which is why I have such a deep interest. I've studied MK Ultra very deeply and have helped MK Ultra survivors write their memoirs because of what happened to them. I want those stories out there. I want people to know, because one of the reasons Americans are not cognizant of the power of the spirit like they are in the Slavic soul over like in Russia is because materialism has taken a grip on Americans. That's Dracul. That's exactly what my grandmother meant. And that materialism blinds them. And who better than someone who has suffered through MK Ultra could know possibly the value of the human soul. I mean, blessings on you for that, because I know what you've been through. So to me, that's why we need to get these stories out, so that they are out there in books, hopefully, because even though people don't read now, they'd rather have sound bites and videos. There will come a time when it'll be like Fahrenheit 451 here in the United States, when there will be very few books. Everything will have been rewritten on the internet and edited to the liking of some of the worst among us, who don't even believe that truth is anything other than an arbitrary personal opinion. So the books will come back, and people will be able to read these stories. Very, very valuable. Very.
I wanted to mention Thumper. This is a great point for you to come in. Thumper was in the Navy for 11 years. I think it was 11 years.
14 years, Dan.
14 years. And he was involved in the electronic side of naval intelligence, and he's got one of his spy planes behind him. So you're in very good ground to be talking about all this stuff. And Elana, I think you'll find that Thumper will probably want you to come on one of his programs at night to talk about a lot of the things that you're talking about today.
Yeah, actually, I have a late night show. It's called Hyperdrive, and we dive into all kinds of weird stuff. I take it you're in Washington State as well.
Yes, I am. I'm trying to escape, but haven't been able to yet.
Well, I'm over on the east side of the state.
Very different over there. Very different.
It's if you can't get out of the state, at least move all the way to the east side of it. You know.
Right. I considered it. Yes.
But we dive into a lot of this stuff. The one thing that you were talking about that I found kind of fascinating was the space fence. With when Trump came in and we were talking about the border fence, but I always had this funny feeling that we were talking more than just one fence, or a very unique type of fence. And then with his, the budget that he got for the military, and how he was able to wrap his hands around that budget deal that they had. They basically handed him a whole lot of money that he could do anything he wanted with, and I believe that's what he put a lot of that money towards. What do you have on that? Do you have any additional information on that?
Well, are you talking about the Space Force, or are you talking about the space fence?
Aren't they somewhat tied?
A little. I'm not sure about the Space Force now that because of what happened to Trump. It's kind of up in the air for me. So let me concentrate on the space fence. Yeah, the space fence is very much, my hands right away do this on radio interviews because we're sandwiched between what's above us, which is the LEO or NEO, the low Earth orbit or near Earth orbit, satellites and various stratospheric nanotechnology, chemicals, etc. Up there. And then down here, we have the infrastructure that my second book spells out ad nauseum. I mean, I needed to spell it out so people would realize that the cell towers, which are microwave towers, the fiber optics cables, the radar installations, all the radio equipment around radio stations, the Gwen towers, all of it, including the cell phone, which I don't own, by the way, because it's a weapon system. They all are part of the space fence infrastructure. And the military is the only, has all of the codes and all of the frequencies for the control down here. They have to constantly calibrate all of this equipment in order to have it resonate with the other parts of the equipment. That includes the ionospheric heaters. And those are not just HAARP up in Alaska. There are lots of ionospheric heaters now. The X-37B, which is nothing more than a flying HAARP, that is a massive weapon system and an immediate weapon system able to fly at amazing speeds and perform operations you can hardly see unless you have a very sophisticated camera situation. So all of that means our nervous system is sandwiched between. This is full spectrum dominance, right? So now what we see is the inoculation when there are a couple things going on there. Yes, it is genetic. It's genetic shifting going on, bringing in the transhuman hybrid into the human race. As many and many as they can possibly get in this first sweep. but also they're inoculating people with various frequencies of diseases that they can then whistle up with 5G and 6G systems.
Right. Right.
And then the other thing that I think is, yes, the graphene oxide is hugely important, and the graphene hydroxide, for which that wonderful scientist was killed, of course. All of this is all part of turning us into the brain-computer interface units that they call wetware. There's hardware, software, and wetware. We're the wetware. Yeah. And you know why? I mean, that's an old CIA term for assassinations. Interesting. They're
wet
using
works.
Wet works, exactly. Mm-hmm. So and that is the final. The final road that we're now entering is through the inoculation. The other two delivery systems have done very well for them, which is the chemical trails from the jets, rockets, and drones. And then the second one was the GMO foods that I can't believe people are still eating GMO foods. They're not even organic. They're not even natural. They are from Terminator seed. And, and yet people are also still using microwave ovens, which is a magnetron, which is a weapon system. So anyway, it takes a long time to wake up to the many nefarious implements that have been put around us, like detonators, like those terrible little things that you could step on in Vietnam that would suddenly explode you. But these explode you over time so that the medical and big pharma industries can make a pile of money off of your demise. So, the fact that it's all put together, it all started with the SDI and this overarching need to control the atmosphere so that everything else could be controlled. And you must see that what's being inoculated in people, and the 5G, 6G, and probably soon 7G. But the 6G is very important. When they say 5G, remember, just add 6G, because there is no 5G system going up that isn't with 6G. Absolutely not. So, and then I heard that somebody has 7G, the Chinese or something, who knows. But to use the pregnant with electromagnetism atmosphere, it's like a battery. I look out at it here in the Northwest on my side of the mountains, and it's just an endless fog.
Yeah, we have several listeners over there, and they are constantly getting barraged.
This winter has been, there are a few sunny days when you run outside, thank you, and then it's over, and then all this is chemical. You realize, and graphene oxide is in this. They use graphene oxide in the winter to create chemicalized snow and ice. So, because this is big pharma, and then what's going into your arm is big pharma, and what is the fertilizers and things going into the GMO foods is big pharma. Do you get my point here? Mm-hmm. It's all one perpetrator, one big perpetrator. And you look back at the history of big pharma, and what do you come to? Well, you come to Nazis in Switzerland. You come to these amazing families that the Marc Dutroux affair back in the 90s in Switzerland revealed that he was a pimp. He was pimping like Mr. Epstein here. He was pimping for those big pharma dynastic bloodline families who owned all the castles, where they were ritually murdering and feasting on our youth. So, the deeper you dig, the more it connects. And I don't understand why do people not want to know? I mean, I guess I've inoculated myself through years of pursuing this stuff.
I think that people are afraid to know. Because it's going to open up a whole nother can of worms.
And then
Well,
you're going to have to maybe do something.
Well, yes, yeah. No, it's going to get to a point, though, I think, where people are, they can't deny it. And when they start really starting to tie issues, health issues and things like that to what's going on, I think they're going to wake up even more. I've been speaking for years, as you saw with the airplane. My background is aviation electronics and working on surveillance aircraft and flying as an aircrewman on surveillance aircraft. And I've got a very suspicious mind. What I've been saying they can do with this 5G and their antennas and how they can do all this. I've come down to the conclusion that it is absolutely, our telecommunications industry is just as bad as big pharma. Mm-hmm. And the petrochemical industry as well.
They're owned by the same people, Thumper.
Yeah,
they're owned by the same people.
Yeah, and the cell phone in every hand, the Wi-Fi. Now you mentioned something about the fiber optic, because I had my house hooked up to fiber optic now for the internet. Mm-hmm. And I figure I'm safe because, for one, I don't Wi-Fi it through the house. I have all my rooms wired, so I don't do Wi-Fi. What do you know about the fiber optic?
Oh, it's not safe. No, it's not safe. The problem is you're probably thinking in terms of power and what's going through the air, maybe. And this is more about the pulsing, because
okay.
The pulsing is much worse. Mm-hmm. It's like your smart meter.
I don't have one. I opted out.
Yeah, very good. It's not the power, the voltage that we need to be concerned about particularly. I mean, yeah, if you're in some sort of high frequency thing, then it's different. But no, it's the pulsing, because we're resonant beings. Mm-hmm. So all that has to happen, and this goes straight into the mind control, Juliette, where you pulse a different frequency, and suddenly the resonance system inside you is pulsing to that. We're very, you might call it flexible. I think it's partially why many people, well, of course, they've been raised with television, which is another technology I don't own and never have. another weaponized technology that we can do without. People are so easy to hypnotize. And I think that's the thing to think about when you're, like with fiber optics. Here's my problem with fiber optics. One, when you get fiber optics in your neighborhood, as I recall, correct me if I'm wrong, you've got the main one going down the street. They dig up the street and they put it in there. Then you've got each one coming to the individual houses. Mm-hmm. And then you wire up there. Well, now you're in a centralized system that can easily pulse you and pulse all the Internet of Things in your house and the 60 hertz in your wall. So to me, it's maybe it's not as obvious, but you are still making the assumption that those who run the technology will not be doing that. And
they got a huge grant. I forget how much the guy told me. The grants that were being put out by the government to bring this stuff in and put it in, and it comes under the the recently approved National Communications Act to bring the internet to all of those poor people that don't have it. Right, all very altruistic. Altruistic. Yeah. Like we trust our government to be altruistic, right? Not. So
the only way I'm going to make it through this is to laugh. I mean, it's it's just.
By the way, I want to ask you, the pendant that you're wearing, is that anything significant? Yeah,
this one is, I buy it at a site that I'm convinced is accurate, and it has a diode in it.
Okay.
So it's just a way of, again, trying to change the frequency around me when I'm moving through the world.
The argon.
No, it's not argon. It's just it kind of looks, the anode diode thing. It kind of looks like this inside this top part.
Okay.
And the crystal, I think, is just for looking, and we all know it's a sort of transmitter. But no, it's mainly the pulsing out another frequency, pushing away the frequencies. Because of course I may not have the TV and the iPhone, but I'm surrounded by people who have all that stuff.
Have you? Have you looked at? There was a recent. Trump said it. Covfefe.
Yeah. Well, what do you know about that?
Well, we've done some digs on that, and we did a couple of parts of a couple of shows on it, and it's a cadmium, iron, COFE, and they're saying that is the equivalent of what you were just describing there with your little pendant, that it cleans up the signal. Okay. Now, if you look back in our ancient histories, anybody here believe that the Egyptians built the pyramids? Vanadium, cobalt, and iron. And iron. Yeah. And that's covfefe. All right.
Oh, I see.
And it supposedly is a way to clean up all of these signals so that they resonate with us instead of against us. And so being I think we're kind of creatures of hope for good. It's nice to think that there's maybe a way that this all of this stuff can be cleaned up and we can live in it, because I think that we've had earlier civilizations, the Mayans, what you read about of Atlantis and Tartaria, all of these previous civilizations that rose and fell, lived much more harmonically with the planet, but did it with technology as well. When you look at the grand cathedrals and what they were built for, and all the geometric shapes that are built into all these grand cathedrals that they couldn't destroy, so they just stripped them of all the technology that was there, other than the spires and the things on the tops and the fancy domes that were used for, I'm a firm believer in all that stuff.
Oh, yeah. Right. As long as you don't think you can have your cake and eat it too. I mean, we have to realize that it's like me. I mean, in a way, I'm sacrificing some of my health in order to have this intimate relationship I have with this computer, because I'm at it a lot, and my vision already is much less than it used to be, et cetera, et cetera. And now and then I get hit straight from my monitor. It's an assault. I'm being hit, and I can feel it in my heart squeezes and my lungs start laboring, and but I can tell right before it happens, because I don't know what gland is right here, but it starts producing some sort of something to tell me you are about to be hit. And then I run out on my balcony and I breathe. And if I lived on the ground floor, I would go out and ground myself on the earth, of course. But by the time I get down there, it's probably going to be over. So the idea that I limit the technology, I treat it with kid gloves, I enjoy a movie now and then, as long as it's free and I'm not on Netflix or something, on my computer. But basically that I need to not be intimately engaged with the technology. It's already the electric lights weaken us. We've had electric lights longer than we've had this other technology. So as long as I don't think I can have my cake and eat it too, is what I'm saying.
Right.
And then you can improve it. Now I have things in my light sockets that are pulsing alternative frequencies in order to, and those are put out by, I believe, Blue Shield, not the insurance agency, another one that says BLU Shield. And then it's pulsing out, and I can get up in the night and see, I've got little dazzling light, pop, 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 pop. There's the good guys, the good electric guys are working for me through the light sockets. But again, I can't assume that will take care of everything. So my diet is a certain way. I eat very alkaline. I do not eat acidic. I chew well. I don't allow myself to have sugar or any chemical foods or alcohol or, I've got a list because I'm basically a consciousness here for a while, and I've got a lot to do and take care of. And now I'm definitely at 74. I'm like, okay, 74, right? Okay, this is going in one direction, and I am going to use every minute I have here because I've got a lot of work to do. And so as long as we know that there is sacrifice involved in doing great work, and I know a lot of people aren't interested in doing great work. I don't understand why. If you have the opportunity, why wouldn't you want to?
Well, it's humanity at risk. It's humanity at risk. That's
it's huge.
It doesn't get any bigger.
It doesn't get any bigger. And I'm just thrilled to be here for this battle. Absolutely. Juliette, how about you? How do you feel?
Well, this is a great time to bring in what's happening in Russia, because it's relevant to all of this.
Right.
I'm not watching mainstream news or reading it. I just know it's all lies. What's really happening is that Russia is in a life and death battle with the deep state, and they have suffered from this cabal, which is primarily Jewish, and you're not allowed to say that. But
Khazarian, actually.
Khazarian, yes, but that's supported by
the Ashkenazi.
The Ashkenazi, right? Yeah. Well, the Hazars are the Ashkenazi. The Ashkenazi are not from the tribes; they're actually genetically Turkic people, right? But they came from Ukraine. So the Hazarians are Ukrainians. They are indigenous Ukrainians who became. Are Turks. They aren't really like the Slavs, but they chose to be Jews. So they converted to Judaism in the 800s and built an empire that went from the Baltics all the way to the Black Sea and became the Pale of Settlement, because the Russians wouldn't let them live in Russia and the Ukrainians didn't want them living in Ukraine. So they were in a Pale of Settlement. Well, that's who became the Hazarian Mafia, through immigration to the United States, through infiltration of our government, through, you all know about the deep state. But since the so-called liberation of Ukraine, since the breakup of the Soviet Union, the CIA and Hazarian Mafia and the remnants of the Nazis, the Azov battalions, who were the Ukrainian Nazis, took over the country. And but they didn't really, because they're really under the control of the deep state and the CIA. So they've built all these bioweapons labs. They've made their money. Ukraine itself doesn't have any gas. It's a fantastic farming region. That's what it is. But gas and oil and the big money from that, it doesn't have it. But Russia, in order to get the gas to Europe, has always had to run the pipelines through Ukraine. And Ukraine has stolen a third of that gas ever since they put up the first pipeline. And if the Russians object to it, they cut it off, and then Europe freezes and blames the Russians. So it's gone on and on and on. And what happened is that the corrupt crime families, like the Bidens, the Clintons, the Kerrys, a whole lot of them wanted a cut of this. So they made sure Russia wanted to go north and wanted to go south with Nord Stream 1 and Nord Stream 2 so they could get the gas to Europe and bypass Ukraine. And the crime families didn't want that to happen because then the companies like Burisma, it has no reason to exist except that it's stealing Russian gas and selling it. So, the big money would stop. So they have multiple scams going through Ukraine, and the indigenous Ukrainian people, they'd be very close to Slavic people, they're very close to the Russian people, would love to see this all rooted out. They don't want these biolabs there. There's rumored to be 8 to 10 biolabs that only Americans can operate in. So they're basically underground CIA bases doing God knows what. But the Ukrainians, if you talk to Ukrainians, they are convinced that they're doing human trafficking, money laundering, satanic rituals, witchcraft, and human sacrifice, and a lot of human trafficking. Children are taken from Russia, they're taken from the Caucasus, they're taken from North Africa, and they disappear in Ukraine. And they're going into these labs. So when Putin says he's attacking the drug addicts and the Nazis in Ukraine, and we go, what? That sounds insane. No, he's absolutely correct. He's attacking the weapons installations, which are responsible for all of the drug trafficking, money laundering, satanic rituals, and are run to a large extent by the remnants of the Nazis, who are tightly interconnected with the Hazarian mob. So Ukrainians would love to see them gone, and that's what Russia's doing. And in terms of the two republics in the Donbass, Lugansk and Donetsk, they are Russian. These were always Russian, like Crimea. It's 100% or 90% ethnic Russian, always has been. But at the time of the breakup of the Soviet Union, it was Gorbachev just arbitrarily stuck these regions in Ukraine, and they objected immediately. But in fact, they've been petitioning ever since the 1990s to get out of Ukraine and get into Russia because they're Russian speaking. All of their families are Russian. It makes no sense. So in 2014, when there was the color revolution in Ukraine, and what happened was that the Ukrainians that took power, sort of spearheaded by Yulia Tymoshenko, declared genocide on their own Russian population. And the Russian population is primarily Crimea, Donetsk, and Lugansk, and declared that all of them should be slaughtered. And Crimea immediately held a plebiscite. This was in 2014, and 98% voted their way out of Ukraine and hooked up with Russia immediately. Donetsk and Lugansk were trying to do that, but Russia decided to negotiate a settlement and try to do this peacefully and not carry out the genocide. And that was called the Minsk Agreements. So for 7 years, these Minsk Agreements have been in place, and Ukraine has consistently violated them because they attacked Lugansk, they attacked Donetsk, they constantly bomb, shell, destroy. I think there's 4 million people in Donetsk and 2 million in Lugansk, almost all Russians, and over 100,000 children have been killed by the bombings and the slaughter over the past 8 years.
With American money? Is it paid for by American money?
Good point. Absolutely. They wouldn't have any weapons. The weapons are coming to them through the CIA. So these are CIA funded facilities. These are weapons facilities. These are money laundering, human trafficking, gas stealing, embezzling, murder for hire, mercenary armies. And if you listen to the Russians and the Ukrainians, the U.S. ran ISIS out of there. Yeah. So a lot of mercenaries are coming and going. Ukrainians hate having these things there. So I think the Russians have precision bombed 7 of them. It's a little hard to know, but they certainly have gotten a number of them. The Ukrainians are very happy about it. So what Putin is saying makes a lot of sense. And what he's saying is very straight. straightforward and honest. And it doesn't make sense to us because we are the Americans are so stuck in some kind of television version of what's happening. But both indigenous Ukrainian people and Russian people, they're deeply religious people. And as soon as the Soviets were gone, they were right back rebuilding their synagogues, their churches, it was all legal again. The bells that had been buried for 70 years in the ground, everybody knew where they were. They dug them out. And it's been bells, 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 bells ever since. And they don't understand. They struggled their way out of that. Why are we interested in going into it?
Right.
So if you think of it in terms of Russia's war against the deep state is what's happening here.
Yeah.
It makes sense. All of it makes sense.
Julia, a question for you. What are you aware of as far as the legal status of the Ukraine as a sovereign nation?
Well, that's a little iffy.
I've heard that there's some questions there that they may have not dotted all the T's and crossed all the I's when the USSR broke up, and that is one reason why that President Putin is saying, "Hey, stay out of this. This is an internal affair."
Well, I know that one of the reasons that the Soviet Union broke up, one of the big ones, is the republics were a huge drain on the resources of Russia. And the biggest drain, because of the corruption and the gas stealing and the violence, was Ukraine. So they were extremely glad to get rid of Ukraine, but Ukraine never properly incorporated itself and redefined itself. And the reason for that was the Khazarian mafia was running it, and they didn't want to. So in a way, that's good, because then they couldn't become part of the EU, and they really can't join NATO because they're not clearly a state.
I have a theory on that, and that is the Khazarian mafia run out of Kazakhstan using Ukraine
out of Ukraine,
but using Ukraine as a puppet of the Khazarian mafia. They had planned to win all of this. Okay. And in their plan to win, if they had won, they'd have all of this organization and everything in Ukraine, so they could easily take back all of Russia, and and instill it be, like we were saying, they never left Russia, so it's kind of go back to the way it was. And,
only in reverse of the way it was dissolved in the first place.
Right. Yep. And so I don't know that it was a mistake. It may have been pre-planned to remain in that gray zone, so to speak. And what we have seen with both Trump and Putin, they love taking the bat out of the hands of these criminals and then turning around and beating them with their own bat, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
They put all this stuff into place, and now what's happening is it's being used against them.
I think that knowing a lot of those people, I think that you've got the same families in Ukraine and the Khazarian mafia. They're in the State Department and they're in the CIA. They're the same people, the same names. They migrated over, but they're all connected, and they're operating inside the U.S. government, and they're inside the Ukrainian government. They're not inside the Russian government. They kicked them out, and so it is a concentrated action. And I think to a large extent, they're really stupid. They like Yulia Tymoshenko declaring genocide on the Russian population, on, expecting the Ukrainians to kill 6 million Russians in the Donbass region. And of course, it wasn't going to happen. The Ukrainians weren't going to do it. And so it led to this 8-year civil war that's been going on there, which has just been horrendous. There's a lot of stupidity and incompetence and greed, and these people fight with each other. They stick each other in jail. They kill each other. They throw acid in each other's faces. They're horrible people.
Yeah.
They're,
And they've been that way since 1600s.
So you've got evil and stupid combined with the power of technology, and that's just...
Yeah, and that's what I was wondering is what the chemtrailed skies look like over this Ukraine, because one thing I know that will be heavily chemmed if there is a need for what is called communication, with little quotation marks, namely some sort of targeting of pulsing frequencies for stupidity, for violence, for where I live, we're being targeted with, I think, pulsed with frequencies for complacency and loving the mask.
And stupidity.
Do without it.
Yeah.
There's always stupidity.
That could be stupid.
Yeah, but it's kind of being tweaked a little, the TV is not enough. But anyway, I just wonder what the skies I don't get much from Ukraine, needless to say, as far as I get pictures from all over the world from people of their skies as they're asking me, what do you think of this? But I don't see Ukraine much. I'd love to.
Well, I think it's because there isn't much. In Russia, there's still no chemtrails. They do cloud seeding. They do it for parades and events, and it's going to happen because it's raining over Moscow, and suddenly a sunny patch appears in the middle, and the districts get drowned and flooded, and they know it's going to happen, and so they've done that forever. But I never saw a chemtrail the entire time I lived in Russia.
If Ukraine is run by the CIA,
Ukraine may be yellow with
no question.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Okay.
I'm curious. You've got my curiosity up, so I'll ask people.
Let me know if you
I will. I'll find out. Yeah.
Elana, there's you talked about black ops, and there's a lot of people that think the black ops budget is almost double what our military budget is, because the CIA's been involved in so many international drug dealing and every corrupt thing you can think of, they've been involved in. What exactly do you think the black ops numbers really are? What are they in the many trillions?
Well, first of all, the CIA, as you know, is not what people think it is. People think it's an intelligence agency, when actually it's a complete Nazi stronghold.
Yeah, yes.
Has been from the beginning. It was created and put together, architected by Reinhard Gehlen from the Eastern Front. He was asked to do that by the notorious Dulles brothers. And he created, it wasn't just the OSS and then one day and then it's CIA the next day. No. This CIA has got big muscles. This is a Nazi organization. I would put it in the category of the way I think of the stay behind forces in Europe. It starts with a G. What is it? The girl with the dragon tattoo, Stieg Larsson. He wrote that story. I love this story. I don't know if it's apocryphal or not, but he wrote this amazing novel trilogy about the girl with the dragon tattoo, the abuse, the terrible politics of Northern Europe, particularly Sweden. And the day after he delivered all 3 books, the trilogy, he was killed. And the story that came out was, it's got to take some sort of prize for the worst cover-up story ever, that he died of junk food. So, I mean, I know why they killed him, because those novels, if you haven't read them, I'm telling you, if you love investigative journalism, those are the books to read, because Stieg, I think his name is Stieg Larsson. Yeah. He was amazing journalist.
Wonderful
whether
books.
Junk food or not. So, that the CIA, especially that it has In-Q-Tel, right? In-Q-Tel, that's its briefcase carrying guys who do all their business deals. I think the CIA is bought into just about everything, whoever the CIA is. And you ask for numbers. I remember, 20 years ago, being able to nail down the fact that the CIA had 20 million employees. That was years ago. So how many of those are, I mean, today they have full-on AI systems. They've got quantum computers, they've all got D-Wave. Do they have the agents pounding the pavement and beating down doors? Probably not on the whole, but they've got a lot in electronics, and all these targeted individuals, of which I think in America alone, I would conservatively say that we have at least 1.5 million people being targeted ruthlessly in their homes, workplaces, cars, anywhere. And a lot of them write me because they know that I believe them. So your question, just make a long answer. I have no idea. Is it trillions? I mean, where does, it's kind of like the boundaries of the Ukraine. Where does the boundary of the CIA end and something else begin? I think it's all run by the CIA, because you go against the CIA and you're looking at death, or your family is, period. Mm-hmm. This is not a rational organization. This is a satanic organization. I don't know if they do rituals and things like that, but
Juliette, tell them about the rituals.
Yeah. No, that's a very big part of it, and certainly it was clear to me. My uncle was one of the founders of the NSA, and my great uncles and grandfather were all OSS, and then some became CIA, and. It was. It had a ritualistic overtones, and I think that came right from the Nazis, and the kinds of the one that I write about, because I hate remembering these things. So when I went to go and write about it, I picked one, and I did a deep internal emotional trip into that one. But there were many, 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 and that was the Saturnalia. And the Saturnalia is Christmas. So Christ wasn't.
Saturnalia is what?
It's Christmas.
What do you mean?
The day of
the day. Oh, you mean the Roman holiday? Okay.
Yes, the holiday, the December 25th is Saturnalia. It's not.
I was thinking you were talking about the Saturnalian Brotherhood, because that exists at NASA. Yeah. And that is real.
Oh, yes. And they are, I'm sure they're the ones that, how do I describe this? I spent every Christmas, they would take me, drug me, so I couldn't move, could barely breathe, me in a van with a lot of other girls. We were all dressed in costumes, would take us to a place that the Christmas, the balls on the trees, the smell of pine and cinnamon, which makes me nauseous to this day, and the burning hearth and all of that was all thrown together with dancing fawns and half-naked people. And I was always there, paralyzed, and would be raped during the procedure, but I wasn't killed because I think because I'm from an elite family and they had plans for me. But other children were brought in and ritually sacrificed alongside goats. They would cut out their hearts. They would eat the hearts. They would smear me with the blood of other children. And it was the Navy, because it was
I was going to
the Navy.
Ask that you say that.
The Navy MPs would block the doors, and I knew who they were because my father was in the Navy. I didn't know them personally, but I knew who they were. And the children would try to run out and they would push them back in. And it was always the MPs who would come and pick me up. And we would have other kinds of rituals, they did a lot of cocaine, drug running, trading drugs for guns. And this always involved abusing children in the middle of it. So the depths of this is so horrific and so deep that even having been there, I don't want to know about it. Yeah. And I think a lot of people who have achieved success in their lives, I mean, why would you want to go blab about this? I, for some reason, could not keep quiet about it. I just cannot. It's the child sacrifice. No, that's the line in the sand. That crosses over far beyond humanity. So I think that more than anything pushed me into coming forward. But the horror of it is the way I fight against it is to go into my soul and be in my soul. And I think that there's been a tremendous misinformation campaign in the West against the soul. Yeah. You don't use it. You don't talk about it. Every reference to a church or a cross or religion or a soul is dark. You know, it's a creepy priest or an abusive nun or, you know, some murdering theologian, something just dark, so that we don't talk about the soul. But that's our power. Our power is our soul, and the soul of our nation is the power of our nation. And so when you see things like the truckers coming, you know, and the people getting out and cheering the truckers on, and you know, you're starting to see the soul, the resonance of the human soul resonating together for good, you know. So this is good versus evil. But in the evil, in the good, there's a lot of stupid. You know, we've got stupidity all over the place. But fortunately, in the evil also, you know, they do stupid things. They make stupid mistakes. This thing about not forming Ukraine into a nation, in a way, it served them because of the money laundering and the crime and all that. In another way, it completely blocked their access to NATO. I mean, they would be part of NATO right now if they had gelled themselves and officially become a nation, but they couldn't agree. They were constantly arguing, breaking down, fighting among the factions. And the same thing with the European Union. Ukraine had been promised entry into the European Union, and they didn't get it because they never met the requirements. So that's just stupid on their part, which is a good thing, actually.
Well, I'm going to ask you ladies this. There are a lot of people, a lot of our listeners that now are listening to the Kool-Aid drinkers and equating Putin to some kind of an evil demon, and that in fact we need to support another military incursion into the Ukraine. And at this point, I mean, this is exactly what Biden wants to do, because in fact the economy's fallen apart. Everybody's waking up to all the transgressions of all these evil people. Guys like Klaus Schwab are right out in the public talking about how he owns all these politicians all over the world, and you know, the Great Reset and all these other things. Isn't that really what we're talking about right now? Is another psyop, another phony war that they're trying to create so they can basically get people back into their control? Please, both of you, please talk about that.
I mean, it seems like it's so obvious. I mean, but I know what you mean. There are the people who've drunk the Kool-Aid or had the blue pill, and they are completely, well, to me, programmed. The programming of the modern television. I would love to do a survey, if I had the wherewithal, of how many of the people who've lined up to take the jab over and over and over how many of them own TVs? I'll bet you they all do.
100% probably. As a matter of fact, it's probably 200% because they've got one in the bedroom and one in the living room.
Yeah, no, it will be very high because the whether you have an HD TV or a plasma TV or whatever, the sophistication, I have it in the latest book, by the way. I have a section on what is in these TVs. And believe me, you don't want to be watching your favorite soap opera. You don't want to be watching your favorite sitcom on these things. You can go ahead and unplug it. It's still on.
Right.
It's just like your cell phone. You've got your cell phone off. It's still on, folks. So these are dual-use weapons. These are dual-use, meaning military and civilian. So when I think of this Ukrainian war, and then I love to listen to Putin. First of all, this is the second Putin, but you know that, right?
Yeah.
The other one, remember him? He looks totally different, and he was way older than this one.
Yeah, I knew him.
Yeah, he was the KGB one. This is not the KGB Putin. I like this one much better. Anyway, I just wanted to put that in there. I love to listen to him because then I can find things out about the United States. I really listen to Putin to find out what's going on over here. You know, I'd love to, have him show up on my desktop every day or maybe every other day. And so I'd know. But this bombing of the tunnels under these drug labs, oh yeah. Well, we went through that with Trump, and we know what those dumps are, those deep underground military bases. We know what's going on down there, the adrenochrome, right? Small children being milked and tortured. Bombing the drug, and I mean, I knew he was doing something good. I knew that. And I didn't even need the details. And that's pretty much how, I've been very influenced by Rudolf Steiner. I don't know if you all know that, but I was a Waldorf teacher for years, helped start 4 Waldorf schools. I've done a lot of teaching. I love teaching, but I can't teach and write. I have to do one or the other. So I discovered that the ability of education to be able to bring the soul to the forefront in education rather than the way it is in the public schools now, that we have to do that. It doesn't have to be a catechism. It doesn't have to be a theology. It's kind of the way you present things to youth in order to intrigue their soul with real food. And that's why I spent 16 years in the Waldorf movement, because I loved the classroom. I loved the teaching that went on. All of that is sort of also being weakened now, by the way, I just wanted to say. And then I forgot the original thing I was going to comment on.
Well, now that you mention this, though, the soul is our essence. That is, if you want to separate humans from all the other biological entities, it's our essence, and it's absolutely essential because it's based in a knowledge of God and a knowledge of what we're here for, why we're here. And it's the foundation of logic. It's a foundation of all the incredible things that humans are capable of. And that's why they want to take our soul, because if they take our soul, they can take all the things that make us so exceptional and create just a class of automatrons, basically.
Yeah. That's the goal.
Yeah.
And they want to the soul is our connection to God. And they want that broken because they want to defeat God. Now, who is at the core of all this? Who benefits from the complete destruction of humanity?
Pretty obvious.
Well, Satan.
Satan, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That'd be pretty dull for him without people around.
Not really. Not really, because he ultimately knows how the story ends, and so it's kind of a contest to see if he can turn absolutes around to the point where he could actually win.
Yeah, and I think that just as a sidebar to that is why we're hearing more now than all the years I've been pursuing what's under the rug. We're hearing more of how it's being done now. The admissions are just sometimes, I love that British word, gobsmacking. It's just amazing. They're telling me exactly how they're doing it. And they don't care if it looks bad.
Right.
That is what my friend Michael Hoffman calls revelation of the method. This is the era in which they want your complicity, so they're going to tell you what they're doing. And then if you don't do anything about it, you're complicit. And that's exactly what a Satanist wants. A Satanist is not interested in taking you by force. They want you to will it yourself.
Willingly, voluntarily, yes.
They want that. And that is a very primary part of the soul that I think people don't realize. If you've been taught to be polite your whole life, and then at the moment when you need to say no, instead, your conditioning takes over. Well, now it's complicit. You've been complicit. And that you lose a lot when you do that with the soul. You've got to make a stand.
Absolutely. God does not like wimps. I mean, he
certainly. Yeah, the Bible doesn't teach you to fall on your knees and whimper. It teaches you to take up a spike and drive it through the guy's head, like Jael and Sisera.
And I think that consciousness of doing just that, I think it's very powerful, extremely powerful. We don't need to be necessarily marching in the streets to have that kind of power. But
we just have to say no.
Well, if you really give it what you've got, and then you support those around you who are doing the same, that's very powerful, and I believe in it. I absolutely believe in it. I was once standing in a health food store line many years ago in my 20s during the 60s, and I was whining and complaining about how expensive organic food was and how it was much cheaper down the street at Safeway. And the guy in front of me probably got tired of listening to me and turned to me and said, yeah, but when was the last time you were sick? This is a great investment. And there are thousands of people who are doing this. It's a very powerful movement. And I was like, wow, yeah, I hadn't thought of that. I was just whining and whimpering because it wasn't easy for me. It was taking my money from me. And that's kind of how I feel now is I've become very hard-hearted in a way, that if there's a lot of whining going on about how hard things are, I've heard a few hard stories, and you have too, Juliette. I just finished helping an MK Ultra guy write his book, and he is still being used. He is still being accessed and horribly used. I won't go into detail, but I mean, it's a horror. They're using him up. And he was born in 1953. So, I know what suffering is when I think of his story because I know it so well now. So I just have no patience with whining and complaining about, whatever it is that's not real torture, not real torture at all.
Absolutely. Well, Julia, you mentioned that, you think that there are a number of people at the top of our political structure that are part of, that were MK Ultra victims. Tell us the kind of characteristics and how you see this group of people. And frankly, if you want to name names, this is a great place to name them.
Well, I can't Well, there's a couple of people I do know, but they're fighting the good fight, so I'm not going to name them.
Well, we won't go there.
No, but the way I've been to a lot of meetings in the Council on Foreign Relations. They were talking to me about joining, and so I went to a lot of their events, and I could see a lot of people there that are stuck. They even use the term. They would get up and say, "Well, we're out of script. We don't know what to do." The chairman of a very powerful committee, I think it was the National Council of Churches, got up there and actually said, "Okay, we've done everything. Now we're out of script." They couldn't take it any farther because the programming had ended, and you see this over and over and over where people are stuck on repeating ridiculous, stupid things and policies that don't work and doing them over and over and over and being richly rewarded. That's the thing, is that I didn't go along with it. So I didn't get the bling. I'd be probably the Secretary of State by now if I'd gone along with the programming, but I didn't. But as soon as you gave up your soul, as soon as you reached the point where you couldn't stand the torture anymore, and you let them take your soul, you were richly, richly rewarded. You got the contracts, the money, the cars, the bling, the fame, the books, the big house, and you can do any stupid thing you want, and you still get it. So we
sounds
see
like China Joe Biden.
Well, I think there's a sort of a club in government that you don't hear much about, and that's the Senior Executive Service.
Yeah,
and yes, the SES. And they are filled with people of marginal competence. And I've worked with a lot of these people. They come in and they kind of destroy your project, and they get paid more than you do. There's no accountability. They come in, they do whatever they want, and then they leave, and it's a mess. And you cannot question them. They get $1 million bonus a year. I'm serious. And when they retire, they get millions and millions in benefits. They've done nothing but destroy everybody else's work. I think that's who they are. And there's thousands of them, and they're programmed to do that. And if we got rid of the Senior Executive Service as a country, we would do so much better. Just let people do their work, and people take pride.
Ever since I heard about the SES, I was this is bad stuff. This is just I can't think of a better way. Take a bunch of people, put them all up there, make them untouchable, pay them a lot of money, and they get their fingers into everything, and what they say goes. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And they have no competence. They'll come into a project. They have no competence in it.
It's the reward system.
Mm-hmm. They get paid.
Can I change the subject for a moment?
Sure, absolutely.
Going down, and Juliette, I want to ask you a very burning question. I know a lot of MK Ultras, a lot meaning maybe a dozen. How did you escape? How did you get out? Most of these people they started aging, and suddenly they weren't being accessed as much, but their dreams are still being affected by dream engineers. They're still being followed, accessed in some way. I know very few MK Ultras who ever got out of the program. How did you do it?
I went to Russia for 20 years. And it didn't affect me as much in Russia. But actually, I was 17. I was finishing high school. My parents weren't going to pay for college, even though I was plenty smart enough. They were basically going to give me over to the MK Ultra program full time. And, I was looking at a life as a sex object prostitute for the intelligence agencies. They were after my soul. I couldn't live like that. And an opportunity, really unknown to my parents, I'd applied to the University of Washington. They didn't know I'd done it. And I had teachers who must have been aware of something going on in our family and with me, because they helped me. They gave me credits, high school credits that I hadn't earned, so I could get out of high school and get into college a year early. So I left high school as a junior and went right to the University of Washington, which is a really unusual thing to do. My parents knew nothing about it. I forged their signatures on all the documents. I faked the bank records. I cheated my way into the University of Washington. And during this summer, I was splitting the summer between a seal sci project. I mean, seals like harbor seals, and up at Murphy Hot Springs, which is now Esalen in Monterey. But then it was Murphy. It was just a farm, Murphy's farm, and it had a hot springs. In the barn there, they would fly in record executives, and then they'd play the music, get them high on LSD. Us girls would seduce them on the grass, and then they'd get pictures. So that's how they controlled the music business. And in the middle of that, a car drove into the compound, which was completely locked. The guy driving the car was out of his mind on LSD. He ran into a fountain. I got in the car, couldn't get him out of the car, pushed him over, and took off and drove all the way up to Grants Pass and got a bus ticket to Seattle. And I got it because the bus was full of drug money. He'd been selling blotters of LSD all over Monterey. So there were wads of bills. And he also had, I found green stamps. You must know what green stamps are. Young S&H green stamps. So you get books of green stamps, you get everything you need. So I went to college. I showed up the first day of college, and I bought clothes with green stamps, and I paid my tuition with the drug money, and walked my first day at University of Washington, walking from the 45th Avenue down to Drumheller Fountain. I just shed all the memories and forgot everything. It was quite an amazing process. Became what I saw around me, the little college girls and the way they walked and they talked, and I imitated it. And I made up backstories when I had to. I really had no memory of who I was. And it wasn't until much, much later. I still have interference. I pick it up. I get targeted. I get hit. I get targeted at night. I know who's targeting me. I can hear them.
Now you still get targeted sometimes?
Yes. Okay. Yes. And sometimes it's just like you said, it'll hit me in the head, hit me in the chest, and I have to go running out the door. And I'm still aware of it. But if you have a chance, I put as much as I could in the book Sparky, in a comprehensive way. And I left a lot out because, who wants to read the details of the horrible stuff that they use?
It is, they're good.
Oh, there's my book.
This is a great time to show these ladies books. Sparky, I'm telling you, you may have taken some of the tougher discussion out of this, but it was heartrending.
It'll still curl your hair, I think.
Yeah, it was heartrending. I felt so sorry for you in that childhood, and I can't imagine how people could do that to their own children. It's just unbelievable to me.
Yeah.
Well, they did. And a lot of the children that were in the programs with me killed themselves. And that's another thing I get targeted with. I get the programming telling me to ride the Freedom Train. And I get that over and over.
What the Freedom Train is?
The Freedom Train is this crazy old train all painted pink and yellow and psychedelic, and it's full of music. It's got cushions all over. It smells like dope. And you get on the Freedom Train and you jump out and you die. So I think it's drug overdosing is what it is, but it's programmed into all the MK Ultras. And so you're inculcated with a few basic beliefs. One, that if you ever talk, you're going to find out yourself on the Freedom Train. You better get on it or they're going to get you and torture you to death. And I just forgot the second one. See, there's the programming right there. Number 2,
Angels
the big
over
one.
Moscow. I want to, Thumper, go ahead and pull that, roll that up a little bit. Angels over Moscow
irritating.
is another of your books that, and it talks about how you literally, in the 20 years that you were in Russia, were involved in something like 10,000 young children to stop the human trafficking and the sex trafficking of them.
Yeah, we ran a huge network called the Angel Coalition. It was in all of the former republics. It involved hundreds of NGO organizations, police department, education departments, tremendous cooperation with the Russian police. We were actually allowed to go and train Russian police on how to approach children, how to help trafficking victims. We found them very receptive. We had huge response to our classes, and they're still going on. And over the course of the 15 years that we were really active, we saved, and this is all documented, over 70,000 people came through that organization, through the Angel Coalition. And eventually we got too successful. A policeman was shot, and a couple of people that worked for me were killed. And I was told by Russian intelligence I had to leave. And they told me twice before I had to leave, and I came back. But this time it was more serious. And actually the Russian mobsters who were the threat to me in Russia are right here in Washington, D.C.
Yeah, they are. We know that.
Yeah.
For a fact. Well, we're kind of running close on time. Show Elana's books. Okay, this is her latest, and I've got it right beside me. And I did go through it. I'm surprised how quickly I have gotten through the highlights of it. Now I'm going to go back through it and read it section by section in detail. But I'll tell you what, it's ultimately readable. You're a great writer.
Well, I've been writing since I was 8 years old, not publishing, but, and I just heard from Catherine Austin Fitz. She's written a review of it. I'm very grateful to her.
Wonderful.
So,
Nice. Congratulations.
Yeah. And I hear rumors from the Rainer Fulmich group that I would hope would get some sort of access to this book to just fill in some of the blanks, fill in some of the connectors that we need desperately to understand what has happened. It isn't just about vaccines.
Right.
It's about a lot more. Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah, that is. Okay, and then you've got actually 5 other books as well, right?
Well, I've got the other 2 in the trilogy of the geoengineering trilogy. The first one is that wonderful blue cover, Chemtrails, HAARP, and the Full Spectrum Dominance of Planet Earth. That was in 2014. And then the next one is Under an Ionized Sky, From Chemtrails to Space Fence Lockdown. Both of those were published by Feral House. They did a great job. I have left them and gone on my own with my fan base just because I wanted to make a teeny bit more on each book sale. So the other series is my magnum opus, I feel, which is the Sub Rosa America series. And it's called Sub Rosa America from A Deep State History. And that is in a novel form, 1,300 pages over 4 books, about what happened when Kennedy was assassinated. Kennedy had a big influence on me because I had tea with him in the Rose Garden. I was at Girls Nation. Bill Clinton was there. You know, we up and coming whatevers. And then 3 months later, he was dead. And I had to give talks to my community groups about that, and people were sobbing. And it was my political awakening, you might say. So Sub Rosa America has a bit of a cult following, and I'm really happy that it's out there for people to hear the other side of the history, the one that is truer and yet very human story.
Well, I'll tell you what, this has been a wonderful discussion. I hope that both of you ladies would please want to come back at some time. I'd love to have this discussion and really get into more of the detail on all this stuff, because all we did was just kind of just scuffle over the top. There's so much here. This is, as the old saying goes, this is a target-rich environment.
Can I say I remembered the other thing from MK Ultra that we were absolutely never supposed to do on pain of death? It was read the Bible.
Oh.
Really?
Yeah, and it goes out of my head. I've read the Bible over and over and over, and it doesn't stick. So, I should have it memorized on the second time through. No, it just, that programming is in there. Wow.
Well, that's scary. It does show us exactly what we're up against. Ladies, thank you so much. I look forward to the next time we get a chance to visit, and I think probably you'll both get a chance to visit again at one of the upcoming Red Pill Expos, because I would love to have both of you as speakers at those events.
And I would also like to extend the invitation to, if you're able to join us on the late night show. Now, Elana, you're on the West Coast. Juliette, I'm not sure where you're at, but
I'm on the East Coast.
Oh,
East
so
Coast.
Yeah, for you, it's a little bit more of an issue because it's a live show. It starts at 11 o'clock.
Forget it. It's not my finest hour.
Yeah. But Elana, you being here just across the state from me here, it would be really
I volunteer, Elana.
to have you on as a guest on our Hyperdrive show. So if you're interested, I'll get a contact information from Dan, and we'll hopefully work that out.
Okay, and then would that be an hour?
Well, it's a 3-hour show. You can either do an hour, 2 hours, or 3 hours.
Midnight.
Midnight, you turn into a pumpkin. Is that? Yeah.
Well, I can tell you, knowing Thumper and now having a chance to converse with you, I've got a feeling you could fill that whole 3 hours, and it wouldn't even be a scratch in the bucket. It wouldn't.
Oh, we can keep the conversation going. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah. Are we human? I mean,
yeah, exactly.
Well, it's a 5,000-year-old story. I mean, for crying out loud, we can find something for 3 hours out of that 5,000 years to talk about, I'm sure.
If you guys get ready to do that, let me know. I'll bring my tinfoil hat.
There you go.
I wear it with pride. I have a ball cap that I've covered in tinfoil, and I wear it with pride. And who knows, it might save my life someday by a directed energy weapon.
At a talk I gave, a woman made me a hat that is a tinfoil hat kind of thing, but she swears that it really will work if my brain is attacked, and so I do keep it around.
I slept in one for it's a mesh, and it's supposed to like a Faraday cage, but then I take it off and my hair is standing up like this all day long. Just it's so electrified from whatever's coming out of me, I guess. It's just insane.
Yeah, I guess some frequencies it works okay for, and others not. But Juliette, I wanted to say how honored I am to meet you. Thank you so much.
Oh, same with you. I just love your book.
From the lakes of Minnesota
to the hills of Tennessee,
across the plains of Texas, oh, from sea to shining sea,
from Detroit down to Houston, and New York to LA,
where there's pride in every American heart, and it's time we stand and say,
the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I'd gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt of this land. God bless the USA. God bless this country that I'm proud to be an American. When at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt